Google just shipped an AI tool with a name so strange the internet thought it was a joke. It's called Dreambeans. Not Gemini, not Bard, not some serious-sounding lab project, Dreambeans. And what it actually does is wilder than the name. You feed it a few photos or a short clip of your real life, and it hands back a fully animated cartoon version of you, your dog, your kitchen, your morning coffee, turned into something that looks like a frame from a Pixar short. Here's the number that stopped me cold. People are generating these clips in under 60 seconds with zero animation skill, zero software, and zero budget. Something that used to take a studio of artists weeks now happens on your phone before your kettle finishes boiling. Think about that gap. A single hand-drawn animated minute traditionally costs thousands of dollars and weeks of labor. Dreambeans collapses that into a coffee break, and the name isn't an accident. Google has a quiet habit of giving its strangest experiments soft, silly names so they fly under the radar while the technology underneath stays deadly serious. Dreambeans sounds like a children's cereal. Under the hood, it's one of the most advanced image-to-animation models Google has ever let the public touch. So why bury something this powerful behind a name that sounds like a nap-time snack? And what really happens when anyone on Earth can cartoonify their entire life in a minute flat? Let's get into it. To understand why Dreambeans matters, you have to rewind a couple of years. Back in 2024, turning a photo into smooth animation was science fiction for ordinary people. The best you could manage was a jerky, melting mess where faces warped and hands turned into spaghetti. Generative video was the hardest problem in the entire field because video isn't one image. It's 24 or 30 images every single second. And every one of them has to agree with the one before it, or your brain instantly catches the glitch. Google had been quietly chipping away at this inside its research labs for years, building models with names like Imagen, Veo, and Lumiere. Each one got a little smoother, a little longer, a little more stable. Then the breakthrough arrived. Instead of generating video from scratch, the model learned to take a real photo of you and animate it in a chosen style, keeping your actual face, your actual room, your actual dog, but rendered as a cartoon. That's a far smarter trick than inventing pixels from nothing. It's the difference between asking an artist to paint a stranger from imagination versus handing them a photograph to trace and stylize. The second is dramatically more reliable. Google wrapped that capability in a friendly consumer shell, gave it a deliberately goofy name, and pushed it out through Google Labs to see what regular people would do with it. And what happened next caught even Google off guard. The moment real humans got their hands on it, the use cases went somewhere nobody on the research team had predicted. So how does Dreambeans actually pull this off? Let's open the hood in plain English. At its heart sits something called a diffusion model. Picture a sculptor who starts with a solid block of television, static, pure random noise, and chips away at it, step by step, until a clear image emerges. The model was trained by watching that process in reverse millions of times, so it learned exactly how to turn chaos into a coherent picture. Dreambeans does this not for one frame but for a whole sequence, and it adds a crucial second ingredient, a reference. You give it your photo, and the model treats your face and your surroundings as an anchor it must respect on every single frame. That's why your cartoon self still looks like you and doesn't morph into a stranger halfway through the clip. The third trick is style transfer. The model has studied countless animation styles, the soft glow of a Pixar render, the bold flat lines of a comic strip, the watercolor wash of a Studio Ghibli scene, and it can repaint your real footage in any of them while keeping the motion natural. Here's the scale that makes your jaw drop. The model is juggling billions of tiny calculations just to keep a single second of animation consistent, and it does it fast enough to feel almost instant. Older systems needed a full data center and several minutes per clip. Dreambeans does it in a fraction of that. But the truly clever part isn't the speed. It's a design decision Google made that almost nobody is talking about. Let's get concrete, because the things people are actually making with Dreambeans are where it gets fun. The most popular use by a mile is turning home videos of kids and pets into cartoon shorts. Parents are feeding in a 10-second clip of their toddler stomping through the garden and getting back something that looks like a scene from an animated feature film. Same kid, same garden, now rendered in glowing Pixar-style 3D. One clip of a family dog chasing a ball racked up millions of views in a single day, because the cartoon version was somehow more adorable than the real thing. Then, there are the small businesses. A bakery owner with no design budget turned a phone video of her shop into a charming animated advert in an afternoon, something that would have cost a few $1,000s from a freelance animator. Teachers are turning dry history lessons into cartoon recreations to hook bored students. Couples are remaking their wedding footage in the style of their favorite childhood film. And of course, the internet being the internet, people immediately started cartoonifying the most mundane moments of their lives, doing the dishes, sitting in traffic, microwaving leftovers, precisely because watching ordinary boredom rendered as a whimsical animated epic is weirdly hilarious. The common thread is access. Skills that used to live behind years of training and expensive software are now a single button. But that flood of easy cartoons is exactly what's making a lot of professional animators deeply nervous. And that tension is where the real story begins. Now here's where the real story starts, because Dreambeans didn't land in an empty field. It walked straight into a brawl. On one side, you've got OpenAI's Sora, the tool that stunned everyone by generating photorealistic video from a single written sentence. On another, you've got Runway and Pika, scrappy startups that creators have used for a couple of years to make slick clips. And looming over all of it sits Disney, a company whose entire 100-year empire is built on the very thing Dreambeans hands out for free. So how is Dreambeans different? Sora invents a video from text. You describe a scene and it dreams one up, but you have no control over whose face shows up. Dreambeans flips that completely. It starts with your real life and stylizes it, which makes it personal in a way text-to-video simply isn't. Runway and Pika aim at professional creators with complex timelines and editing controls. Dreambeans aims at your mum. One button, 60 seconds, done. That simplicity is the weapon. Google isn't trying to win the high-end film market. It's trying to put a stylization engine in the pocket of all 4 billion people who carry a smartphone. Think of it like the moment the camera phone beat the professional camera. The professional camera was better, but the phone was always there. And that one, Dreambeans, is placing exactly the same bet. But this fight isn't really about who makes the prettiest cartoon. It's about something far bigger that almost no headline has bothered to mention. Here's what the headlines aren't telling you. The real story behind Dreambeans isn't cute pet videos, it's a quiet earthquake under 3 different worlds at once. First, copyright. When you ask Dreambeans to render your life in the style of a famous animation studio, who actually owns that look? The studios spent decades and millions of dollars developing those visual signatures, and now a model can mimic them in seconds. Lawyers are already circling, and the courts have no clear answer yet. Second, jobs. There are hundreds of thousands of people worldwide who make a living doing exactly what this tool now does for free: junior animators, motion designers, small studios. Some will be wiped out. Others will become 10 times more productive by using it as a starting point instead of drawing every frame by hand. History says both happen at the same time, and it's never comfortable. Third, and most unsettling, is consent. Because Dreambeans animates real footage of real people, it makes it trivial to create convincing animated versions of anyone: a colleague, an ex, a stranger on the street. A cartoon feels harmless and playful, which is exactly what makes it slippery. The same engine that turns your toddler into a Pixar star can put words in someone else's mouth and dress it up as a joke. Google has built in safeguards and watermarks, but every safeguard in this field has eventually been worked around. So the friendly name hides a genuinely heavy question, and protecting yourself starts with understanding how to actually use the thing carefully. So let's walk through how Dreambeans actually works, step by step, so you can try it without getting burned. First, you'll find it inside Google Labs. That's Google's public playground for experimental tools, reachable from your Google account on the web or the app. You sign in, accept the terms, and you're in. Step 2, you upload your source. This can be a single photo or a short clip, ideally under 15 seconds, shot in decent light with your subject clearly visible. The clearer the original, the cleaner the cartoon. Garbage in, garbage out. Step 3, you pick a style from a menu. Think glowing 3D, hand-drawn, classic, comic book, or soft watercolor. Step 4, you hit generate and wait roughly a minute while the model runs its billions of calculations up in the cloud. Now the important part, the safety habits. Only ever upload footage of yourself or people who have actually said yes. Animating a clip of someone who didn't consent, even as a joke, is exactly the behavior that gets this kind of tool banned. Check for the watermark Google embeds in every output. It's your proof the clip was AI made, and you should never strip it out. And read what Google says it does with your uploads before you feed it anything private. Treat everything you upload as something that could be stored. Do those 4 things, and you get all the fun with none of the regret. Because the people who'll thrive with tools like this aren't the most technical, they are the most thoughtful. So here's what this actually means for you, and what to watch for next. Dreambeans, silly name and all, is a preview of where everything is heading. The ability to transform reality into any style you can imagine, instantly and for free, is no longer a studio superpower, it's a phone feature. And Google burying it behind a goofy, naptime snack name tells you something important. The most world-changing technology now arrives disguised as a toy. That's the pattern to watch. The next time a tech giant ships something with a name that sounds like a joke, look closer, because the joke is often hiding the breakthrough. For you, the practical takeaway is simple. Play with these tools now, while they are free and new, so you understand what they can really do, both the magic and the danger. Learn to spot AI animated footage, because within a year your feed will be full of it, and not all of it will be honest. And if you create anything with another person in it, get their yes first. That single habit will keep you on the right side of where this is all heading. We are watching the cost of animation fall to 0 in real time, and that will reshape advertising, education, entertainment, and the simple question of whether you can trust what you see. If you want to stay ahead of every twist in this story as it breaks, follow for daily AI news, because tomorrow there'll be another tool with an even stranger name. Keep your eyes open.